everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bippity Boppity Murder. I will be your host for this one. My name is Amy, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host. And this is the fourth episode, I believe, in our season 1 of The American Dream. I guess it's murder, where we go through and we talk about a murder in each of the 50 states, and, well, that's pretty much all. Let's talk murder. So today we are going to be in West Virginia. To be specific, we are going to be in Clay County, West Virginia, in a little unincorporated community called Booger Hole. Yes, that's correct. I said Booger Hole.
Not to be confused with Boogie Town.
So it actually is said that Booger was a nickname for the boogeyman, so I don't know why you would name a town after that, but we made some choices.
That's just inviting the spooky in.
So many believe that to this day, this area is still haunted. Partially due to some of the things we're going to talk about in this podcast. Others just due to superstitions and such like that. And we're going to start actually at first in the 1860s. We're not going to spend a lot of time in the 1860s, but we're going to talk about it for a second. So there was a group called the Moccasin Rangers. First of all, great name for a ranger group. Do not know why that is their name, but that is in fact their name.
Did they wear moccasins? Do you know?
I don't know, Debbie. That's a good question. You asked the good questions, and I like it. So they're basically a home guard unit, but they were treated as outlaws by many of the people there. They were Southern sympathizers because this is like the Civil War area in time. And they were started by quote unquote captain. It's not a real captain. Perry Conley, aka the Quantrill of West Virginia. Don't ask me what a Quantrill is. I don't know.
He's like the Captain Morgan of this era.
Yeah. And then there was another man named James Rogers. He was a very respected man. He was a farmer and a religious man. And he also started a local guard unit. But they had no allegiance to the North or the South. Their only goal was to protect Booger Hole families. So this is like an actual guard unit that's not treated as outlaws.
They done terrible, may I add.
Well, there's a reason they did terrible, and we're going to get into that. So, Rogers, James Rogers, and his neighbor, Solomon Carpenter, were patrolling one night, and they actually were following a group of Moccasin Rangers. But they realized that a lot of these Moccasin Rangers were actually residents of Booger Hole also, so they just kind of let them go home, you know. Captain Conley, and some of the Rangers, later that night, pulled James Rogers and Solomon Carpenter from their homes, tied them to a tree, and shot them numerous times. They basically went full firing squad on these guys. So that's kind of why they didn't do a good job, because they were murdered.
They couldn't do a good job, and now I feel terrible for saying that.
Their bodies were found the following day. After the murders, the local Confederates went after Conley and the Rangers. Nancy Hart, who was actually Captain Conley's girlfriend, was taken prisoner. She later did escape and ran to the south. Conley also escaped and went after the 13th Ohio Infantry when he was shot and killed. So everybody got their justice. We're going to fast forward now. I told you we weren't spending a lot of time then. To the 1910s. This is kind of when things started getting real for this little area, like they weren't real already.
They're like, they've lost all their guards to a firing squad on a tree. Like, I would have moved. They should have had a population of 0.
So, in the 1910s, there were numerous murders. And in my opinion, all of them are slightly bizarre. So we start out with this man, John Newman. John Newman, most of the time, is just known as the peddler. It is sad the amount of research I had to do to find out this man's real name. Everything just said, yeah, the peddler died.
I, at one point, was doing a research for a TikTok and I had to ask Amy, who the heck is the peddler?
And I was like, I got you. Like, don't even try. Because the amount of research I had to do to find it was insane. So a peddler, by the way, is a man or woman, it's just a person, that goes from, like, community to community selling, like, small goods. He disappeared one day while going from one farmhouse to another. That's really all I found out about him. As I said, kind of hard to find information if nobody knows your real name, okay? And then we have the second murder. We have Joseph Clark. Joseph Clark was sleeping in a schoolhouse. I don't know if this man was homeless or if he was a teacher that just had a rough night. I don't know. But this man was sleeping in a schoolhouse. So they traced a streak of blood from the schoolhouse to a nearby creek. Yeah, that's the end of the information. I'm sorry, what? In their defense, it is the early 1900s and, like, not a lot of media sources and stuff, so.
There was a line of blood from the schoolhouse. The end. They didn't even try.
I know. And then we have Henry Hargis. This was a mysterious disappearance, and many believe that James Moore did it. So you guys are like, who the hell is James Moore? Well, Moore had random spells where he would just start shouting and screaming at the ground. So I don't know if he was disabled, which is if he is, I'm, like, not gonna laugh at that, or what. But in this time and age, like, if you did things like that, you were just weird and suspicious.
If you do it today, you're just on meth.
Yeah. So that's all I could find out about his. All I said, all of these, no information. Until Lucy O'Brien Boggs. And suddenly these people know how to track information. Lucy was a peculiar old woman. Several people thought she was a witch. Was she, or was she just weird? I don't know, okay? But, a lot of people thought she knew some information about some of the previous murders. That could be because she made claims to know where Hargis's body was. So I don't know how she knew that information, or if she knew that information. I don't know.
That's suspicious.
Right? Lucy was shot and killed through the window of her home while she was sitting in her rocking chair and peeling apples in front of the fireplace. So we literally went from, yep, this man was a peddler that died, to she was sitting in a rocking chair peeling some apples. There was a father and son duo. They were the Cottrells. They were charged with the murder. They told a Clay County squire that Boggs witched them and could change forms.
To what? What could she change forms to?
They didn't say, just that she could change forms. There was not enough information, so the squire released them. So I have a lot of questions about that one. Like, it got really good about giving us information, then all of a sudden was like, yep, not enough info. And then the last murder that we have is Preston Tanner. This is the one I have the most information about, and it's still not a ton. So Preston Tanner, he had his head bashed in with a claw hammer after he was playing cards with this man named Howard Sampson, who was 21 years old. The house was then burned down, and an empty can of lamp oil was found under the bed, so suspected arson.
Times were so different then.
They really were. Howard and his father Andrew were accused of the murder. See, Howard Sampson, the 21-year-old, he had a thing for Preston Tanner's wife, and vowed to kill Preston so that he could have her.
Hold on. Did Preston know about this vow? Because why would you be playing cards with someone that vowed to kill you?
I don't know, but this was originally testified by some man called Bunk Truman. That's B-U-N-K. Bunk Truman.
Man, I love this case already.
The wife did say that Howard had made multiple advances towards her in the past, and he said that she would regret turning him away.
I mean, she didn't regret it. Preston regretted it.
Oh, yes. And then Andrew Sampson, the father, had told his daughter Jenny about a dream he had where Preston drew a gun on him, which is shockingly enough not a good reason to murder them in real life. Two men went to trial, and Booger Hole decided to form a lynch mob, because why not? And they went to the Clay County Courthouse to try and kill the Sampsons. They were just going to take justice.
That right there is dedication to a town.
Like, they're just going to take justice into their own hands. A local attorney was able to calm them down and told them to basically just, like, let justice take its course. Howard Sampson, the 21-year-old, was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison in 1917. You're like, alright, cool. No, this man was pardoned in 1925. 8 years later.
They should have let the lynch mob do its justice.
And he went on to move to Canton, Ohio, killed his wife in like 1952 to 1953, and then killed himself. Andrew Sampson, the father, was never convicted. And the residents of Booger Hole were pissed. Alright, that's the easiest way to put this. They were not happy with the results of this. And this was before even he got pardoned. This was like right after the trial. They were like, not good enough. Not good enough. So remember that like lynch mob I told you guys about? They were back. So they posted a notice all over Clay County. I'm just going to read you just a couple of snippets from this like notice they put up. Because first of all, if I saw this notice, I would be scared, okay? For numerous reasons. So, I'm going to read it to you. We, the citizens of Clay County, seeing that we cannot get justice by law, have organized the Clay County Mob. We have pledged our lives to drive these people from our country or kill them. Strong start, okay? Strong start. I like it.
Very strong. I'm captured. My attention has been grabbed. And I kind of don't want to live there.
So, if we cannot catch and hang you, we will sneak upon you and kill you, as you killed Henry Hargis, Lucy Ann Boggs, the old peddler, I told you we never say his name, and Preston Tanner. If before you leave there is any stealing, killing, or burning, we will get the bloodhounds and detectives and run you to the ends of the earth. Okay.
I got chills.
Also, I just like that it's always just the peddler. You killed the peddler.
I'm like, did his gravestone just say the peddler? Because he's a person too.
Then we get into the name dropping, which is my favorite part of any notice I see.
When the names get brought out, the best of times.
Neil Sampson, Cooch Sampson, Fred Moore, and Aaron Runyon are hereby notified to leave the state in 10 days. I don't know who these people are, okay? I think they're connected to the cases. I know the Sampsons are probably related to Andrew and Howard. That's what I'm assuming. Fred Moore, we had another Moore, you know, the man that yelled at the grounds. But his name was not Fred. It was James Moore. So I don't know who Fred Moore is.
Maybe they've just banned their families and the Runyons. They just didn't like their names. I don't know.
Rose Lyons, Bill Moore, and Elizabeth Sampson are notified to leave in 30 days. So these people got an extra 20 days. P.S. They had to add a P.S., okay? P.S. Do not stop on this side of the Ohio River.
They had a committee. And they signed it, they're done with it, and then someone was like, hold on. They're gonna try to stop on this side of the Ohio River. Put that on there. So I was like, oh, we ran out of room. P.S.
Like, I don't know where to fit this in.
Let me just add a P.S. down here.
It just keeps going. It's like, P.S. P.P.S. It just like keeps going. They keep adding things.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So they basically went and kicked out the families of those accused or even suspected of the murders. And I'm assuming random people, because some of these names, like, I didn't even know these last names. Like, I know the
Yeah.
Moore last name, I know Sampson last name. Lyons and Runyon? I don't know them.
Maybe they're witches. Maybe they were part of Lucy O'Brien Boggs's coven, maybe that's why.
So they basically just went after these people. Many of them went to Braxton County, which is about an hour away, still in West Virginia. Um, and then the mob wasn't done with it wasn't done at just a notice, like it didn't stop. They went and burned down 19 shanties. That's what they called them. 19 shanties throughout Booger Hole.
19 shanties?
I
I'm
feel like
imagining that a shanty is a shack. I'm assuming. I don't know what a shanty is, but 19 of them, I think they done more damage.
they were done with this shit, like for sure.
The mob's like, we can't catch you. We'll burn everything.
Like, I love it. Booger Hole, I am convinced that Booger Hole, I'm convinced that the entire country in this time period was just pure chaos.
No wonder we had a World War One. Like, you've got towns like Booger Hole breaking out everywhere, lynch mobs. Like, where is the order?
Like, I'm convinced that after reading this case, I'm like, this entire country, I feel like was in shambles. I don't know.
Where was the police officers? Like, were they
They,
part of the mob?
I don't think so. I legitimately think that Booger Hole was just done with the police trying and not doing anything about it. So they're like, all right, take things in our own hands. And they posted these notices everywhere over the county.
They put sunglasses on at night, walk past them. Like, they're like, those aren't real. They'll be fine. It's okay. Who's gonna create a lynch mob? The town burns down 19 shanties. And they're like, oh shit, we didn't pay enough attention.
And
There goes the shanties.
unfortunately, that's all I really have about these cases, because none of them had a lot of information, but I had to share them because it was just bizarre enough for me to be like, I have to tell people this story of Booger Hole because it's chaos.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Like,
you got the Moccasin Rangers, you got mobs, you got unrequited love, you got witchcraft. Like, what does this story not have?
well, it sounds like a novel.
It
Where's
really,
J.K. Rowling when you need her?
like, it's so bizarre. And Booger Hole nowadays is still like, it's a very like beautiful little area. It has some nice like farms. Um, People believe it's still extremely haunted to this day, and you know what? I see why. I see why. Um, and a lot of people, like, in small towns like this, families stay for generation after generation. And a lot of those generations are still superstitious about some of the places where these things happened.
I mean, it's only been 100 years.
Yeah.
It's been 100 years. Like, their great grandfather may have just passed, like, he was a child when the peddler died, like, and he's told this story. So, like, great grandpa has told grandpa, and now grandpa's telling his children, like, they're still a little bitter. They're like, there's witches here. And I mean, honestly, they named the town Booger Town, or
Booger Hole.
Booger Hole, not to be confused with Boogie Town. But I'm like, what did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah. I like
What did you
how
think?
I was about to transition into opinions, but we kind of transitioned ourselves into opinions by just talking about the chaos here.
I was like, it's an absolute wreck of a case. And I'm like, the best part is they go from like, oh, there was a trail of blood to she was sitting in a rocking chair peeling apples
In front of the fireplace.
in front of the fireplace.
Like, you could tell who they cared about and who they did. I feel
They're like,
like.
the peddler died. We don't know how. He's just dead. Was he
Preston
murdered?
Tanner.
Maybe.
Preston Tanner was beat on the back of the head by a claw hammer, and there was an oil lamp under the bed that was empty. Like,
While playing cards.
yeah,
I'm like,
you just slowly get more information as the cases go on. Like, at the beginning, they were like, ah, yeah, he died. It's like they realized it was a problem, and were like, oh, we should probably gather some more information about this.
They're like, crap, what? We're up to 5. We forgot. Like,
Has anybody thought about the peddler recently? Who's the peddler?
he's like, "God, remember the blood trail we followed to the creek? That
uh,
guy also died.
yes. Marcus went missing. Does anybody know about him? Does he ever?
Things are going weird here." Oh
And
my
like
gosh.
Lucy died,
They're
and
like,
they're like,
oh,
all right, we should probably take this one seriously.
let's take notes, boys. I don't know.
It was a different time, that's for sure.
If that happened today, there would be riots in the street. Like, the peddler would definitely not be called. That would be some kind of discrimination, I'm sure.
Yeah, like you gotta call people by their names nowadays. Like that would just be
And
like,
why would you be sleeping in a schoolhouse? That'd be even weirder.
there's so many questions. What's wrong with this man that's screaming at the ground? What does he have to say about things? What is he screaming at the ground?
Did he say he killed them? Like, why did you arrest him?
Like, what was happening?
It was absolute chaos. And then in the midst of a chaos, people were shocked that a lynch mob occurred. I'm like, I didn't think it occurred enough. Like, there
This should
should
have
have
occurred
been
sooner.
that lawyer should have just let it happen. Why was the lawyer the one that was stopping the lynch mob in the first place? Where are the police officers of this
I have
town?
no idea where those people are.
Where was it actually the Moccasin Rangers and they died that day? Like, and then no one replaced them.
Like,
I'm like, there's no
yeah,
order.
just like an attorney was like, guys, you need to calm down. We're gonna get this done. Also, why was he released after 8 years for a life sentence? Like,
Who pardoned him? To pardon them, it has to be the president of the United States or their governor.
paroled. He was
Paroled.
paroled.
Paroled. He had to go to a board. I don't know if it's the same now, but like there was multiple people that decided 8 years is enough for this. The lynch mob will take care of it.
Like, it's just so. This whole thing was. Every time I read something else, I'd be like, I'm sorry. What?
I missed a part of the story somewhere.
I never
Like
did.
you said, there was a blood trail from the schoolhouse to the creek, and I'm like waiting for the more information. I'm like, where's the rest, Amy? Where's
That's
the rest
it.
of that story?
That's it. He might be in the creek. We don't know.
I was like, was there a body at the end of the blood trail? Like, did it just end at the creek? And they're like, too hard. Too
Yep,
much.
pretty much.
Too much work for me.
They ran out of room on their notepad, so they're just like, all right, let's get.
It was the life. Been a rough year, boys. I ran out of paper. The end.
Does anybody have any paper?
Everyone's like, no. They're like, wrap it up then.
Should we look for this body? Well, I can't write it down if we find it, so
Like, sometimes we make fun of the killers, but we don't even know what happened here. There's so much chaos.
I have no idea what's going on.
Like, this whole town is a crazy town.
I weirdly want to visit there now. Like, I want to go to Booger Hole.
I'm kind of scared. Like, what are they super? First of all, we got to look up why they're superstitious because it can't just be because of these murders. Like, I'm sure, but they were just casual about her being a witch too. Like they were like, she switches shapes into what? I have more questions than answers. What did she switch into? What did she switch to?
The amount.
There was a line of blood from the schoolhouse. The end.
There's a book written about this. I have not yet read the book. I am tempted to buy the book because I feel like I need information, and I honestly don't know if the book's gonna give me anymore because the amount of articles I've read to gather the information I gathered is ridiculous.
And like our major cases, we could read 3 articles and get pretty much everything, some reports, and we're done. This one, I'm like, what? Where's the rest of it?
Yeah,
What did they find?
Debbie was like, all right, I'm gonna do a TikTok on this one. I said, let me just send you things because it's you're not gonna find stuff.
She sent me the page and I was like, I still have questions. Who's the peddler? What's his name? Was he just the peddler?
He was the peddler. You know what? Justice for John Newman. Justice for John Newman.
Remember his name. Not just the peddler. He had a name. It was John Newman.
That's my like wrap up of this whole like case. Justice for John Newman.
He was more than his job.
Can you imagine if you just called people by their jobs now? I'm just the receptionist, and that's what the entire world calls me.
On your gravestone, the receptionist.
Even though that's not like fully my job anymore, I do way more than that. But I'm not explaining my job; it's complex.
I don't want to tell people mine.
Well, yours gives more detail about where. Mine gives no detail.
Like, what if you were just like a garbage man? Would we call you? Like, there's too many. We couldn't just call you garbage man. We would have to call you waste management man. And then that's too long. That's longer than if your name's John Smith. Like, I have to call you waste management man.
But also, I feel like we should make fun of the murderers a little bit because I have some concerns about these men that killed Preston Tanner. Alright? Like, Howard Sampson wanted his wife. There's different ways to go about that. And if she says no, first of all, learn some fucking consent, okay? If she says no, don't keep trying, okay?
Once again, if you're in love with someone, go to therapy. Don't murder people. There's so many answers. Like, there's therapists out there, good ones, I'm sure. I'm sure at this time there might not have been good ones. Don't kill people.
Who is Bunk Truman that testified? What's his real name? Because Bunk is not his real name.
Why did they give him that nickname?
I don't know.
Did they run out of words? Like, they couldn't even give him a real first name. Maybe that was just his nickname. Yeah. But why?
I have no idea. And then you have Andrew Sampson, who was pissed off because he had a dream that Preston pulled a gun on him. Like, you hear jokes all the time about, like, girls having dreams that their boyfriend cheated on them and then being mad in the morning. But you know what we don't do? We don't murder you. Okay?
That would be concerning. If I'm like, a lot of the times you wake up and it like takes you some time to adjust that you had a dream. But could you imagine waking up and being like, that bitch is gonna die tonight? Bang, bang. I don't understand it. I'll never understand how this town, is still on the map. And on that note, I have nothing further to say.
Yeah, I don't have really anything to say else about this case. This is going to be one of our shortest, probably, things. But it's just because there's not a lot of information. In a lot of the cases where I don't have a lot of information, I'm like, oh, I'll just find another one. No, I wasn't doing that for Booger Hole, okay? I needed to share this with the world.
This one I'm glad you shared it with the world because this is one of our more fun cases. Like, it's depressing, but it's like, it's hard to be depressed at it when it's called Booger Hole and they killed someone because of a dream. So, like,
it's
weird.
Just pure chaos. Pure chaos. And this is one of our solved ones. Or not really, but I don't know really what's going on, so I don't know who to contact if I did know anything from 1920 or 1912. So.
Is the lynch mob still around?
I'd probably not.
Do they have a phone number?
1-800 lynch mob. It's just like nonsense.
1-800 call lynch mob.
Yeah, this was just a really interesting and weirdly amusing case to me because, as I said, just complete chaos and nonsense.
But it would be interesting if you guys had more information about it or kind of knew something we didn't know about it and let us know because this may be one of my favorite things that I've ever discovered.
Yeah, if you have anything about it and you want to email us, if you email us with more information, I will make a follow-up episode about Booger Hole with no shame, okay? Even if it's a 5-minute episode with just random more information, I'll do it. I don't care.
We'll even send you a PR package because...
I'll send you anything you want.
Don't say that. We don't have a lot of money, Amy.
I'll find a way to send you anything you want.
Keychains. She means keychains. Ah,
T-shirts, I don't know. So, yeah, so our email, in case you have that information, is bippity-boppity-murder@gmail.com.
and you can also reach us on TikTok or Facebook.
Yes, those are the two that we're most on. Instagram and Twitter are questionable at best for us. That's all for this one, and we will talk to you guys later.